Good evening, everyone. I'm Marilyn Pfisterer, City County Councilor for District 15, and want to thank you all for coming out in the cold, and those that are at home, I hope you're curled up in your jammies watching. Have some information to share with you this evening. Because of the census that happened in 2010, we're just now getting the new lines drawn that help to balance districts, whether it's council districts or Senate districts or representative districts. Those lines just took effect January 1st of this year. And so because of that, I no longer have all of Speedway. I have the area south of 16th Street and out Cunningham Road and out 21st Street. So anything on this side of 16th Street and Cunningham Road is in my district, and the face is saying, oh no. But Janice McHenry is the counselor for the north side, and we work well together. So you don't have to be bound by those lines. If one of us can help, we're more than willing to help. I just wanted you to know that for voting purposes and for, district purposes, that's now where the lines go. So any questions on that?
That thing said you were still District 14.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have to be changed. My zoning notices are still going to District 14, and I'm now down in downtown and all over the place. So we have a few things to sort out, but it's getting there. If you want to get my e-newsletters, and you do not currently get my e-newsletters, all I need is a name and an email address, and I can send out information to you, such as roads that are going to be worked on, roads that are going to be closed, events that are happening in the area that may be helpful to you, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of accumulate information as I get it and forward it every 2, maybe 3 weeks. So if you'd like to get those e-newsletters, please let me have your email address, and you can forward that information then on to folks that you know if you would like to do so. Elections are coming. We were just talking about the ballots in May. You've been hearing presidential news for how long now? So if you are not registered, you have until I think it's the 3rd of April. It's 30 days before the election in May to register. If you know someone that's going to turn 18 soon and they haven't registered, you might want to share that with them. If somebody new has moved into your neighborhood, you might want to share that with them. You can go online now at indy.gov/clerk or elections, either one will take you to that site, and you can register online. You can also get absentee ballots at that website. I know there's a lot of folks that call me every year and want an absentee ballot. So, kind of give some thought. If you have someone that's older that lives in your neighborhood, or there's a family member, you might want to go and print off an absentee ballot for them if they feel that they can't make it to the polling site, because those folks want to vote. And I wish I could replicate them a couple thousand times, because some of the other folks are not so interested in voting, and I think it's going to be critical going forward, not only at the city level, but at the state level and the federal level, to get people to represent you that represent your values and will represent what you want. Wanted to talk a little bit about economic development in this area and downtown. And let me start with downtown first. There is a new project that you may have heard about called 16 Tech that is being proposed on the north side of 10th Street. When you go downtown by way of 10th Street, and there's the hospitals on the south side of the street, on the north side of the street there's a little stream, and on the other side of that is where the old water company used to be. And that's where this new project is being proposed. And it will be biosciences, a lot of high-tech, high-paying jobs, but also surrounding services for folks that don't have a PhD in nuclear science or whatever that might be. So it will be a definite benefit for the city. We're getting more information. I may have more information by the time of the next or the town hall meeting, so I can share that with you then. But just wanted you to know, when you start seeing construction going on in that area, that's what it's proposed to do. The City County Council building that's right across the street from where the new bus station is being built is getting a facelift, and that's being proposed for this summer. And I keep saying proposed because every now and then things change, so I don't want to promise something that may not happen. But it is supposed to be getting a facelift to be more of a public plaza. So with concerts, or they talked about an ice skating rink, or a place for people to gather that is a public plaza, and that's what it should be. The City County Council does not belong to the council, does not belong to the mayor, belongs to all of you. So I think having it a place that you feel comfortable going and you can have some fun there is a good thing. And then here in Speedway, a lot is going on. Sarah Fisher building is winding up. I mean, they have it all constructed, and I saw the structure on the inside. I saw on Facebook they have the carts coming. It's an indoor karting facility, so you can drive go-karts indoors all year round. And I think that's really cool. I can't wait to get in one. I'm going to show my grandsons what grandma can do. So Sarah Fisher building is coming. There's a new, I believe it's Junko. It's a racing related building that's going on in behind the Sarah Fisher building. So just in the last 5 years, the face of Main Street has changed so much. And it's a really exciting place to be now. So St. Patrick's Day is coming up. They're going to have I don't know what they call it, something crawl on Main Street for St. Patrick's Day. I believe there's a coffee crawl coming up shortly. And of course they had Mardi Gras last weekend. So lots of fun things going on in Speedway nowadays. So look at the Chamber website, the Speedway Chamber website, and that will help you get that information to kind of know what's going on and what the deals are. Streets are the next item on my agenda, and 2016 is pretty well set for my district to get money to do street repairs and street upgrades and street paving and that kind of thing. Here in Speedway, there's going to be on Lyndhurst a left turn lane as you're going north, and a left turn lane as you're going south, so that the bottleneck right there at 16th and Lyndhurst will be no longer, or at least that it's going to be a lot shorter than it currently is. So that is exciting to me. I hope it's exciting to you. Getting here tonight, I wasn't sure I was going to make it on time because of the string of traffic coming north on Lyndhurst and backed up at 16th Street. So that is a big project for Speedway that will be accomplished this summer, hopefully before the race in May. They're going to break ground pretty early, is my understanding. So if you have a street that you feel needs to be paved, if there are sidewalk issues in your neighborhood, please get that to me, because I'm creating a wish list for 2017. That wish list tends to be kind of long, and we'll have DPW engineers come out and evaluate each and every one, and the ones that are the worst are the ones that get addressed first. So the earlier I get the wish list completed, the sooner we'll be able to make those kinds of decisions. Yeah, I had a question back here first.
Where do alleys fall at?
Okay, wait a second.
Repair needed, is that?
For the folks that are watching at home, can you use the microphone and then pass it over to this gentleman?
Okay, my question is, where do alleys fall at in that category? Is that something that's covered by Speedway, or as far as repair goes?
It depends on where they are. Speedway does have certain streets in Speedway that are their responsibility, and then there are others, like Lyndhurst, that is a throughway that's the city's responsibility. So if you want to get me a specific address behind 53 31 14th Street or that kind of thing. If you can get me a specific address, then I can forward it where it needs to go. Don?
Marilyn, last year, you and I talked with DPW about repaving Speedway Woods Drive
Yes.
from Vermont to 10th. And I noticed last week, I believe it was, they was out there marking the pavement, and I was just wondering if that had something to do with it.
It's on the list.
It's going to happen?
It is on the list.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. I know, it takes a while. Unfortunately, it takes a long while. But one of the reasons is all the things that have to go into the engineering and all that kind of thing. That takes time. But the other thing is the money. I had some folks that wanted a sidewalk along Beachway Drive. If you know where Lowe's is located, and Beachway Drive just kind of runs right along 465, they wanted a sidewalk there. There are lots of apartments, lots of people walk there, and I thought, good idea. A 2.5 block section of sidewalk on one side of the street is $60,000. Yes, I was kind of, I did the same thing. So it is unbelievably expensive. So that's why you don't see really quick movement or, you know, a lot of new stuff going in, because it is really, really, really expensive. And with the downturn in the economy, the taxes that go to roads were less. The revenue was a lot less, and so it didn't accumulate like it has in past years. So we're beginning to dig out of that now and be able to see a little more revenue. So keeping my fingers crossed that that keeps going. Yeah, Don.
I need this thing again.
Yes. People at home want to hear you.
I'm sorry. I've mentioned this before. Why don't we use asphalt for some of the sidewalks instead of concrete? Because out there all around the airport, they've got 5-foot wide sidewalks on both sides of the street, and no one even uses them. And they're all asphalt. It's got to be
It's a good question that
cheaper.
I can't answer. I think it has something to do with durability, but I mean, that's just me talking. It's just my guess. So let me put that on my list for DPW.
Okay.
All right? And while we're talking about streets, I'm starting to see potholes appearing. So please, please, please help me report the potholes. If DPW doesn't know they exist, you know, we could run through them every day and kind of cuss under our breath as we do that. But unless DPW knows they're there, they're not going to get fixed. So there are two ways to do that. Call the MAC, 327-4622, or download a Request Indy app on your phone. And it's just real easy. It's on my phone, and I pull over at a stoplight and put the address in, and usually within 48 hours, somebody is out there to address it. Don?
Again, one thing, when you call the Mayor's Action Center to report the potholes,
Yes.
you have to give an address. If you don't give an address, you won't get nothing done. I just came by this, what was that, Monarch, right across the bridge there on Lyndhurst. Monarch.
Oh, okay. I know where you
Because
mean.
there's a big pothole out there, and I couldn't find the address, so I actually pulled up to their front door, and I'm gonna call it in when I get home.
Good.
But you have to give an exact address, or you won't get nothing done.
Well, on my Request Indy app, I have put near, 5337 whatever, and it gets taken care of. So if you can give them an idea, if you just say south of 10th and Lyndhurst, or south of 10th Street on Lyndhurst, and it helps if you can say southbound, northbound, etc. That helps them be able to pinpoint. But as they come out to fix the potholes, they're supposed to look like a quarter of a mile each side of that pothole, and if there's something there, then they're supposed to fix that too. They're supposed to be, they're supposed to be efficient with their time. So, but anyway, just help me report the potholes, because that helps keep everybody's car a little safer. And that leads me to our guest tonight. We have a gentleman here that's going to talk to you about Blue Indy, the car share program, the electric car share program. So he'll give you all the details. And he can answer questions. I'm putting him on the spot.
Thank you, Marilyn. Hi, everybody. My name is Lance Bomer. I am the marketing manager at Blue Indy. I've been in the neighborhood a few times, speaking with many of you. Not sure if you recognize me or remember me. I'm formerly from Indigo. About 2 months ago, I oversaw their community engagement process. So if you've heard about Red Line or Blue Line or any of the upcoming bus route changes, I was probably the guy at your neighborhood association meeting talking about that. So fast forward to today, I'm at Blue Indy now, and we're talking about electric car sharing service. So what is Blue Indy? Blue Indy is exactly what I just said. It's an electric car sharing service. So it's not like a car rental where you go to the airport and you maybe get a car from Hertz or Avis, and then you have it all day and you drive it around, or maybe you have it all week if you're taking a vacation. It's car sharing, so it's very similar to the Pacer's bike share, which you see downtown. So the intent is that you are able to check out a car for a short trip and drive it from point A to point B, and then check it back into a station. So how do you do it? Well, there's a couple ways to do it. You can either go to what we call an enrollment kiosk. If you've been downtown, you'll see these enrollment kiosks, and they are, we call them the bubble. And so we've got a few bubbles downtown, and you can go there and you can join Blue Indy that way. Or you can go online at www.blue-indy.com and join that way. So why do you have to actually join to use it? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is we need to validate that you actually have a driver's license and that your driver's license is valid. So you're legal to drive a vehicle. Unlike bike share, you don't need a driver's license for a bike. You do need a driver's license to use a Blue Indy car. You need to provide some form of payment so that if you decide to joyride in the car all night, we actually can charge you for that usage. And we need to just verify that you're 18 years old and that you are not going to use our vehicles for anything illegal. So I think I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Where we started. We started in France. So we started in Paris and now have car sharing services in Bordeaux and Lyon, and just announced actually yesterday that we are launching in Rome, Turin, and London, and we're exploring other cities in the United States. So we have in Indianapolis, currently, we launched about 5 months ago, but we currently have 160 cars. We have 70 stations around the city, and we have about 1,300 members, and they have taken 7,000 rides in 5 months. So it's very impressive. It's actually doing much better than we anticipated it doing at this point, and it's doing better than any of our other sister cities that we're in currently. So I'm here. I just want to answer some questions. What I really want to know is from residents and business owners and neighbors who live in Speedway, we want to know if you want Blue Indy, if you want Blue Indy stations in your area, and then if you do, we want to know where you want them. It serves us no purpose to put a Blue Indy station somewhere that nobody's going to use it. So it only makes sense to ask you first if you want it and where you want it. And we are very open to putting stations all throughout Speedway or not at all through Speedway based on your opinions and your voices. So with that, I'd love to answer some questions. There's probably 1,000 details that I could talk about, but I'd be here all night talking and nobody wants that. So feel free to ask any questions you have.
Well, let me start.
Sure.
Let's say that I don't want to drive downtown. I hate driving in downtown traffic, and I can't ever find a parking place that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg.
Right.
How would Blue Indy benefit me?
So Blue Indy would benefit you because you can do a couple things. Say we were in Speedway and somewhere on Main Street or near Main Street, and you wanted to go from an event in Speedway to maybe a Pacers game downtown, or just you want to go downtown. It's Valentine's Day this weekend, so maybe you want to take your partner out to a nice dinner. You can reserve a car through our app. We actually have a mobile app, or you can call. We have an 800 number that you can call, and you can reserve a vehicle ahead of time so that when you show up to a station, you've got your very own vehicle reserved for you. You can then even reserve a parking spot ahead of time somewhere downtown at wherever your destination is. And we've got several stations in the downtown area that you can then park at. And once you've used it, it's pretty economical. It only costs about 20 cents per minute. So we don't charge per mile. We don't charge at all by distance. It's all by minute. So from here to downtown, it's what, about 20 minutes. So it's probably about $4 to go from here to downtown. And then you plug the car in at a station or at that spot that you've reserved, and it no longer charges you. You're done. You're done with that ride. And then you can reserve your car ahead of time on your way back home and reserve your parking spot so you can feel confident that you won't have to worry about getting a ride or worrying about parking.
So it's not going to cost me any more than a parking ticket would.
No, it'll cost less than a parking ticket would.
Probably, depending on how long you're there. But,
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's pretty economical in the sense that at only 20 cents a minute, you can go from downtown to maybe Speedway or maybe even the airport and not have to pay any parking at that point. And you're not driving your own car, so you're not paying for your own fuel, and we don't require you pay for insurance either. So we cover insurance as well.
So I had a question that flitted through. Oh, how safe are they?
They're very safe. Let me give you some anecdotal evidence because I think that's the best. There's obviously been a couple car crashes. I mean, they happen throughout a huge city like this. And giving 7,000 rides, you'd think that somebody would bump into something every once in a while. So there was a car crash a couple months ago where a minivan and a blue Indy car collided. The blue Indy car, the driver had a family in the vehicle and some small kids, and they ran a red light. And at that time, a minivan hit them going about 40 miles per hour. Well, the blue Indy vehicles, we call them blue cars, are equipped with full side curtain airbags, and they've got a stainless steel structure. As it's an electric vehicle, they have a battery in them. So the battery requires that you have an extremely strong frame and chassis on these vehicles so that they can't break, so the battery is never affected. Well, the minivan hit the blue Indy car at about 40 miles per hour, completely crushed the front of the minivan. Blue Indy car looked like it just had a small dent in it in the side. All the side curtain airbags went off. Everybody walked away unscathed, except for the minivan driver.
Wow.
So they're very safe.
That's
And
information I didn't have before.
They're actually extraordinarily roomy, too. So they might look small. And here's one for the viewers out watching on television. They might look small, but they're actually quite roomy inside. A person who's about 6'5" can comfortably sit in one, and they can hold 4 people.
Okay. Any questions from you all? Any thoughts about where you think they could go that would be convenient for you and your neighbors and friends? Uh-oh.
All right. Well, well, when you think of something, do me a favor. Shoot us an email at contact@blue-indy.com. That's contact@blue-indy.com. Just let us know if you want it, if you don't want it, and if you do want it, where would you like to see it? Because we want to make sure that, one, that's a great location and that you want it there, and then we want to make sure that everybody around that location wants it there as well. There's also a 1-800 number that if you don't have access to the internet, you can call. It's 1-800-329-2058. Again, that's 329-2058. And then our website is blue-indy.com. We're on Facebook at BlueIndyUS and on Twitter at BlueIndy_US.
Okay. I know one of the pieces of chatter I heard was having a station out near the old, it's a bank, right across from the credit union that closed. The credit union that closed, and there's a red brick building there, which is kind of centrally located in that shopping mall. And there was speculation about, well, that would be a good place, because if you wanted to drive your car there, then there's place for parking, and you could pick up an electric car and go wherever you want, and then come back and get your own car. So just some things to kind of noodle around in your head, and the folks that are watching at home can take advantage of the contact information as well. So input. I hear a question coming.
I do have a question. So with everything that's going on Main Street, parking is pretty limited right now.
Absolutely.
So how do you do this and not compromise the current parking?
So you'd think that having 5 spots actually takes away parking. And it's hard to it's kind of you have to see it to believe it situation. But car sharing historically, and even in Indianapolis from our data we've gathered so far, the cars rotate out 7 times more than somebody who's actually just parking their car there. So say you're going to one of the restaurants on Main Street and you take a Blue Indy car there. Well, you park it, and then you get out of it, and somebody else comes and grabs that car, and they maybe go downtown. And then somebody else brings another car back to the parking spot on Main Street, for example. So that parking spot's actually getting rotated out versus you just parking your personal vehicle there and having it there for 2 or 3 hours at a time. We can also work around it by going in places that aren't right directly on Main Street, going on one of the side streets, somewhere that maybe is behind the buildings. It doesn't need to be perfectly visible. We have an app that's probably my favorite way to use Blue Indy for Android and iPhone. And on that app, you can see exactly where all of the stations are and exactly how many cars are at each station and how many parking spots are at each station. And then you can reserve your parking and your car through that app. And I forgot to mention that these stations are not just for Blue Indy cars. If you own an electric vehicle, you can charge your electric vehicle at the stations as well. It's very comparable to actual parking cost if you were going downtown. It's $2 an hour to park your car, an electric vehicle, and plug it in at one of our stations all throughout the city. Does that answer your question? Excellent.
Another one of the possibilities that I heard for here in Speedway was behind the clinic, having a station behind the clinic. And that would be off-street, so it wouldn't be taking up the limited parking. Because I agree with you. Parking in Speedway is becoming more and more.
As Main Street becomes more and more popular, and I visit Main Street all the time, one of my favorite breweries is on Main Street. So I can definitely understand that question. We are working with private companies so that we can put public stations on their private parking lots. So we're trying to work with a lot of the grocery stores within the city and a lot of the different healthcare facilities within the city, so that you don't only have access to fun downtown or fun in Speedway, but you have actual lifeline access to hospitals and to grocery stores. So it's useful for everyday living and not just maybe going to work downtown or something like that. We know of quite a few families who have gone from 2 cars to 1 car, where one of the people in the families just uses Blue Indy now because maybe they work downtown or they work near one of the stations, and they've gone from 2 to 1, and now they've got an extra almost $8,000 sitting on their table every year because they're not having to pay for a car.
I did think about some of the folks that live in Speedway and work downtown, that this would be convenient and you would not have to pay for parking downtown, which I understand is very expensive.
I know some people are paying like $250 a month just to park downtown.
Yeah.
And then imagine on top of that you've got a car payment, and you're paying for insurance, and you're paying for gas, and you're paying for state registration fees. It's a lot of money. AAA did a study last year that said the low cost on average of owning a sedan was $8,000. We've done the math. If you use Blue Indy to do driving every day, and let's say you want to use Indigo as well, and you buy an entire year worth of bus passes, and then you take a couple trips, maybe on a megabus or a Greyhound, it comes out to be about $4,000, almost less than half of what it would cost to own your own personal vehicle if you just used the alternative options that are available.
You would think he was a marketing expert or something.
You mentioned families using it on your website. I was checking it out today. If you did the annual plan,
Yes.
it looks like you have to totally sign up before you can even find out what it would be for a second family member to join your membership.
Yeah, so currently we don't have like a family plan, just because we require that everybody have their own driver's license, and then it comes down to the verification level. How do we know? Do we exclude it to only people who are married? Do we ask for your wedding certificate? What if you're just partners and you're living together and you don't want to get married? So we're trying to avoid that question and that requirement. So it is an individual level. But I know many families who have bought 2 memberships and use it together, or just one of them uses it.
Okay, any other questions? Lance, thank you very much. Appreciate you
much,
coming out
Counselor.
in the cold to
Absolutely.
help educate us.
Yes. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to give that phone number a call. And again, that phone number is 329-2058, or send us an email at contact@blue-indy.com. Thank you.
Next time I run for office, I'm going to have you on my campaign. Okay, moving right along. I got an update from Indianapolis Power and Light recently. And if you recall last summer, there were some explosions downtown. How many of you work downtown? Okay, a couple of you do. There were some explosions and manhole covers kind of flew up in the air, and there was some real concern because those things weigh about 80 pounds apiece, I think. So IPL has gone to a lockdown mechanism for the manhole covers. So if, and they're not anticipating that there will be, but if there's another explosion, the manhole cover will come up just as far as the lockdown allows it to go. So it's not going to be flying through the air. So I thought it might be helpful for you to know that. If you shop downtown or you go downtown to dinner, or you want to know that you're not going to get hit with a flying manhole cover. So IPL's taken care of that. And if you have any other questions, let me know, because I've got a contact at IPL, so I can ask them specific questions if you have some. Gonna take a little bit of a flyer next. I got this in the mail. It was addressed to me, but it says "Dear Neighbor," and it's from Indiana University. So I'm sending this out to you to say, if you're interested, call them and see, ask them questions. Don't take my word for it, in other words. But it's an important study, they say, for the Indiana University School of Medicine. Dr. Karen Mather is a diabetes specialist, and they're going to be doing a diabetic study to determine the best long-term combination drug treatment for type 2 diabetes. So they're looking for study members. And I'll lay this up here if you're interested. There is a phone number you can call, 274-7679, if you're interested in being in the study, or you can go to the website at Grade Study, GRADESTUDY, gradestudy.com. And this is with Indiana University. I thought it was kind of interesting, and there's a lot of diabetes nowadays, and so if we can help solve that problem, I think it would be good. I don't have diabetes, or I probably would go in the study. I thought it was interesting. I also laid out, I mentioned 16 Tech a little bit ago. I've got a picture here and some supporting materials about 16 Tech, so if you'd like to get more details on that, it's here. And also the City County Council Plaza have a little bit of text about what that's all about. So you're welcome to come up after the meeting is over and take a look if you like. Got a lot of handouts in those 3 chairs along the back wall. Some of it's fire department, some of it is being Red Cross ready, it's just all kinds of things. I thought, if you're interested, you want to take the material home, or if you want to take the material for somebody else, please do. It's just helpful to you. and that's why I brought it. The airport is a question that I get asked a lot. What's going on with the land at the airport that they're putting back on, they're putting up for sale? It's going to go back on the tax rolls. I do have a map here that kind of gives you an idea where that land is located. And actually, it's pretty much all the way around the airport. I checked with my contact at the airport to see if there was any new news before I came here, and there's no new news. They did do what's called an RFP, a request for proposal. That was late last year. They are evaluating the submissions at this point. Some of you heard on the news there was going to be a casino at the airport, and it was a done deal, and it was going to be, oh, wonderful kind of. That was one of the proposals that was submitted. The airport had not said that it was a done deal. The casino kind of jumped the gun. So just to kind of clear up, that's the rest of the story. And this is me talking. I doubt very much if that's even possible, because the casino wanted to split their gambling license. They have another casino down along the river, and they wanted to keep that and split the license and have that split go to this facility up here. State legislators I talked to said, not going to happen. So I doubt very much if that's even on the table anymore. So we're still kind of waiting to hear what the proposals are and what's being evaluated and what the airport's going to do. But putting that stuff back on the tax rolls is going to help each one of you that live in Wayne Township, because that money, if it costs $100,000 to run government at all levels in Wayne Township, the more people that pay into that $100,000, the less each one of you have to pay. That's why this stuff going back on the tax rolls is very helpful and very important to you. If you have a chance to talk to Mario Rodriguez, the executive director for the airport, you should say thank you, because elected officials have been talking to airport people for, I know, a good 10 years, because I was one of them. And they'd say, oh, well, maybe someday. It's, we can't do it because of this, or can't do it. And Mario came in and said, we're not using the land, and so let's do something about it. So I'm a big fan of Mario Rodriguez. He's helping all of you. So if you want to take a look at the map for the land use for the airport, I lay that up there too. And I already talked about the e-newsletter. So the next date for a town hall meeting will be April the 14th. April the 14th, right here. So I will look forward to seeing all of you and 100 of your best friends and neighbors come with you, because we can have a nice discussion when we have lots of people. So thank you again for coming out in the cold. I won't keep you any longer. I'm guessing you have TV shows and dinner that you want to get to. Thank you so much.